First, apologies. I haven't put out a proper video in almost 3 weeks now, and that's actually the longest hiatus since I started. And I'm especially sorry to my VidMe exclusive viewers who maybe you're boycotting YouTube, you've migrated from YouTube for good, because you haven't had the benefit of the live streams, which in my defense were pretty good, but if you are boycotting YouTube, don't go back, even for me. I know you love me, but don't. So again, sorry. And my lack of content production hasn't been for lack of topics. If you've been paying attention to Canada, you may have seen the release of the Paradise Papers that expose the Trudeau government's hypocrisy over the wealthiest Canadians that are in fact middle class small business owners, that they are now taxing the shit out of them, while they do absolutely nothing to address the true wealthiest Canadians, the one percenters, the 1/10 of 1%ers, the 1/1000th of 1%ers, who keep large amounts of their substantial fortunes in offshore tax havens. Not to mention our finance minister's conflict of interest, for which he was found guilty and fined. Maybe you noticed the Wilfrid Laurier University free speech debacle involving Lindsay Shepherd and the implications for free speech on Canadian campuses. Maybe you heard that 60 or more people have left Canada to go to the Middle East and fight for ISIS and have returned to Canada. And instead of being arrested on arrival for treason or war crimes, the Trudeau government has decided to initiate programs for de-radicalization for these Canadians. So there's a lot to discuss, there really is. And what I've settled, the topic on which I've settled, is Sleeping fucking Beauty. Now, I'm not going to read it all, but I will link it. A mother has asked for Sleeping Beauty to be removed from the classes of younger children at her son's primary school as it promotes inappropriate sexual behavior. Notice here that they have in quotes inappropriate, where I would put in quotes promotes inappropriate sexual behavior. The mother of two said she was concerned about the message that the story where a prince kisses Sleeping Beauty to wake her from her cursed slumber sent younger children. She added this. She felt the story should not be completely removed from the curriculum and could be used to start a conversation with older children around consent. Now, it's not about it. The story is not about consent. I think it's a specific issue in the Sleeping Beauty story about sexual behavior and consent. It's about saying, is this still relevant? Is it appropriate? Now, I'm not a mind reader, but I am a gambler, and I would bet that this is coming from a woman who, before she goes to bed, goes into her 6-year-old son's bedroom to check on him, tucks him in, and gives him a kiss goodnight. There's nothing sexual about this. It's compassionate, it's caring, it's affectionate, it's all that crap that SJWs love. And that's the way the kiss is portrayed as Disney portrays it from 1959, I guess. I'm sure someone far smarter than I has already explained that this is a metaphor. The sleeping person is a metaphor for a person who's unaware, oblivious, and the kiss represents new knowledge that opens their eyes, awakens them to the reality of the world. And I'm not doing it justice that it deserves, but I'm sure somebody has, and if you can find a smarter person than I, they'll explain it to you better. But it's beneficial to everyone. The kiss is innocent, and yet it aids all parties here. It's not about sex. So it can't possibly be about consent. It's about compassion, and it's about knowledge. She goes on to say, in today's society, it isn't appropriate. My son is only 6. He absorbs everything he sees, and it isn't as if I can turn it into a constructive conversation. I hope this woman's son is absorbing it, and is absorbing more than she is. Because even I, a degenerate drunk, can turn it into a constructive conversation, at least to a degree. I'm sure someone with a master's in this kind of crap could school the shit out of me, and I would love to hear them explain it to me. But there's far more to it than what she's suggesting. They go on to mention that the story originates from a 16th century Italian poet, but I'm not sure that's correct. It might go older to 12th century France or something. I don't have a source for that. I just heard it. Don't take my word for that. So let's stick with this one, in which a princess falls asleep under a spell and is raped by a king who finds her in her palace while out hunting. Because when you're out hunting, who knows if you're going to find a boar or a deer in a palace? Whatever. The princess later wakes up and falls in love with the king and marries him. The fairy tale was later adapted into the modern version, which sees what we know. And somehow they tie it back to the hashtag #MeToo campaign and the Harvey Weinstein scandal. And as we discussed earlier, these are not the same things. At this point I'm speculating, but I can't help but think that this is a person who has no depth and no layers. This is a person who is only on the surface and doesn't think too deeply about anything. And because she doesn't think deeply and has no layers and no depth, she can't possibly believe that other things might. That a fairy tale might be laden with metaphor. It might have subtext and real meaning. It's like an argument from incredulity. I don't understand it, therefore it's all bullshit. She has no layers, therefore no things have layers. It's sad. And I feel for her kid, who's going to be learning from her. And I have a feeling that that kind of thought process, that kind of growth and teaching is going to stunt that kid to no end. Unless, of course, he's badass as fuck and he'll just go ahead and learn whatever the fuck he wants to learn and become a well-layered person like, you know, most of us. Well, good luck, kiddo. Relevant links to shit I said in the description? Maybe. I'm Irving Twin. Like, subscribe, or don't. It's a free country. At least it used to be.